Thanks so much for joining this AIM talk today. I'm really excited to speak to you all about my background and my story in packaging and why that led me to live a zero waste lifestyle. So to go ahead and get started, I want to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Christine. I've been at Cisco for about 2.5 years now, and I work as a sustainable packaging program manager on the Cisco packaging team. So this is us. We sit in Building P, and we pretty much bring out all of the packaging used for our Cisco hardware here at the company. But to go back, I want to say back in college, I graduated in 2015 with a degree in packaging engineering. And for me, I really became fascinated with this whole industry of creating water bottles and food packaging and whatnot. But after 2-ish years of being so infatuated with the packaging industry, there was one fact which really got me to start thinking. So our country, the United States, makes up 5% of the world's population, but produces about 40% of the world's waste. Half of that waste comes from our food and our food packaging, which is one of my primary studies. So when I thought about it, I was thinking, geez, what are we doing wrong in our country? And why don't people really know about what happens after things land in our waste bin? So today I'm going to tell a little bit about where your stuff actually goes after you throw it away. Even though you think you're throwing it away, it's not actually going away. So this is our local MRF site here in Milpitas, actually. So you guys might smell it. It is called Beauty Island. All of our compost, our trash, and our recycling goes to these sites where they are sorted by a lot of different conveyor belts, and also they have people that work on these lines to really pick out things that don't belong in the lines as well. So these people are actually in charge of picking out things, I think 1 piece per second, so 60 pieces a minute. So there's this just crazy amount of stuff going through our trash, and they're picking all the incorrect things that don't belong. So you see there's quite a bit of people who are involved in this process, and when I personally go on these tours, I can't help but think, it smells. It's not the most, pleasant job for these people to go through. But then after it goes through this processing facility, it ends up at an even smellier place, which is the landfill. So this is actually in Almaden Valley, about 10 minutes away from where I used to live. So I used to live in South San Jose, and I went to go for a tour to kind of see where all of our trash is ending up at the end of life. So for those of you that live in South San Jose, it's actually very close to the Quicksilver Park. I love to go hiking there and running as well. I used to train there for cross country. But it's just amazing to think that there are just homes down there within 15 minutes of a drive. So what happens to the waste is that this here is an active landfill. So all of our trash goes to these active landfills, and a tractor-like vehicle will go over all the trash and then compact it as much as possible to fit as much trash as we can into these landfills. So after it pretty much fills up, what they do is they cover it with old concrete and dirt and rocks. And you guys can see here all the little white specks are all the seagulls that are waiting, waiting to eat some of our trash apparently. So it pretty much sits there kind of waiting until, I guess, it essentially just goes down maybe 1 to 2 inches, not very much at all, because these conditions don't allow for things to actually organically decompose in the most natural way possible. So what actually happens is these landfill sites have installed these things which are called methane tanks, and it allows all of the methane gas, which is actually very toxic for our earth, to be sucked into these massive tanks to be properly disposed of. So methane is actually a greenhouse gas, which is about, I want to say, 4 times more potent than carbon dioxide. So it's really important that people draw out all of that gas that is coming from the unnatural process of decomposing all of our stuff. Because typically things need oxygen and a little bit of light to properly decompose in our dirt, like if you do composting in your backyard. But with this, there's no air, there's no oxygen, and the bacteria actually emits a lot of leachate, a lot of bad liquids and chemicals, and that will pretty much just all go into the air as methane or out as a liquid. So if you think about just the things that we use and consume every single day, a lot of these things aren't made with natural materials. So this is just a quick snapshot of some of the items that I noticed when I was on that tour. Our TVs are made of harmful chemicals, mattresses are made out of polyurethane and a lot of plastic as well. And all these things, when they're getting put into our landfills, they are going to be, they're not really being thrown away. They're being decomposed in such an unnatural process that it goes into our waterways, into our soils, and though it's far away and maybe you can't smell it at home, our future generations are definitely going to have to think about what to do with all this stuff. So you're probably thinking, now what? So I want to go ahead and share with you what I do to really minimize the waste in my own life. So in these bags in this container, I have this lovely little mason jar, and this is the amount of trash that is non-recyclable and non-compostable that I have produced in the last 2 years now, which is crazy. But in order to do that, I follow what is called the 5 R's, and I've also included 2 bonus R's. So I want to kind of go through my everyday routine, show you some of the things that I do to kind of eliminate the waste in my lifestyle, and hopefully that'll give you guys some tangible tips as to how you can reduce the waste in your lifestyle too. Exactly. So the 5 R's are similar to reduce, reuse, recycle. You guys have heard that, but I've added a couple extra R's to really get you guys thinking. So the first R, and you want to do these in order. The first one is to refuse. So if you don't need something, why take it, right? Because usually when we don't refuse like freebies or things that just get handed to us, then we're not going to need it, and then we're going to probably have it later in our house. It's going to collect dust, and then we look at it maybe a couple months later and we're like, huh, what is this? And then we throw it out. So that is the #1 way to just reduce your waste overall. The second R is to reduce. So think about how much you actually need to use every single day. Is there a way that you can simplify your overall processes and your overall lifestyle? For me, I live a minimalist lifestyle, so my house is pretty empty, I would say. I don't have a TV because I actually don't watch TV. I just try to keep it really clean because I only use the things that I need, and I'm quite satisfied with that very minimal and minimalist lifestyle, essentially. So the third one is to reuse. And an easy example is to opt for a reusable water bottle over the disposable cups that we have here on campus. And I know a lot of people have a lot of controversy over, does this have a lesser impact on the environment because it takes a lot of energy for this to be manufactured, right? But I got this as soon as I joined the company at Cisco, and I can definitely say for sure that my impact is a lot lower than if I were to be cutting down trees and manufacturing and washing all of that wood to be processed into paper cups, which would go into our landfill, produce methane, etc., etc. So that's definitely the way to go. So the fourth one,
you can also get the ones that are made from recycled material.
Yes.
And that are recyclable.
Absolutely. So Camilla knows all about that. So the fourth one is to recycle. So if you do have things that you need to throw away, try to opt for recyclable materials. So when it comes to food packaging, glass, paper, and aluminum are typically the types of packaging that I like to opt for because they're more recyclable than plastic per se. Only 11% of our plastic is currently able to be recycled in our current municipalities because of all the different types of plastic, as well as the contamination that is caused by all the waste streams as well. And the last of the official 5 R's is rot. That is what I call composting. So for me, I compost all of my food scraps at home in a worm bin. It's not smelly at all. It's actually a really interesting process. And before I had a worm bin, I used to live with my parents, and they had a little bit of land, or they had a backyard. So what we would do actually is we would just dig holes throughout the backyard and put our produce scraps in those holes. Within 2 weeks, all of it is pretty much disintegrated and gone. And the really cool thing about composting is that you're feeding all of those nutrients that you get from your foods right back into the earth, which is where it really should belong. So for my parents, they had an orange tree that never bore fruit for at least maybe 2 to 4 years. As soon as they started composting, we got fruit. So just a small story about why composting is so beneficial for our planet as well. So the next one is to repair, and this is just the idea to really prolong the things that you own. So instead of, let's say, I have a story with my sunglasses here. I've had these for maybe 6 years now, and by accident, maybe a couple months ago, I threw them into the laundry, and the lenses popped out. It was a little bit crooked in the frames, and my mom was really, really devastated because she thought that I had lost my sunglasses, which I paid a little bit more to start with. But when I saw it, I was like, hey, I could probably just bring this to a glass repair shop and get these repaired. So for like 15 bucks, I just got these repaired, and they were good to go. So that's just one of the ways that I try to repair and prolong my belongings as well. And the last one is rethink. So let's say that you're going to buy something new. Think about how it was made, what materials it's made out of, and where it's going to go in the long run. So this is the fun part. I'm going to show you guys how I rethink my routine and show you guys all the props that I might use in my daily lifestyle to reduce my waste. So to start off with, we'll start off with the bathroom. So I have a hairbrush, but it's made out of wood and natural rubber, so it's completely compostable. So if it breaks at the end of life, I can compost it naturally instead of it being a plastic hairbrush. The second thing, so compared to maybe like a plastic bottle of soap or body wash, I just use regular bar soap. I get it from Whole Foods and it comes unpackaged, so that's what I use instead. And I think I really like the coconut one. I think it's great for moisturized skin. And this is another interesting one. Let's see. So actually, I didn't bring my toothbrush. That's okay. I use bamboo toothbrushes instead of plastic ones. So the handle and the whole toothbrush is bamboo. The bristles are actually plastic, but I plucked those out so you might see some of the bristles on the bottom of my trash can. But yeah, so this is some homemade toothpaste that I make. It's made out of coconut oil, xylitol, which is a plant or it's a sugar substitute that's used in a lot of dental products to help prevent cavities, and also baking soda, which helps to clean the teeth. And I also put in a little bit of peppermint essential oil to give it that minty flavor, but that's what I use for a toothpaste. The other thing is, there's a new company that actually recently launched. They're based in Maine, but they make silk floss. So instead of using plastic floss, I use this instead, and it can be composted. What you do is you buy it with the container, and then you can get the refills afterwards, so you can continue to reuse the packaging. Okay, what else? This right here, you guys might know this type of packaging is used for like jams and honey for like the small samples, and I love to reuse these to make my own lip balm or to store little body products as well. So this is actually a lip balm that I made. It has coconut oil and cocoa butter. So it's really simple. You just put it on a double boiler on your stove, and you can melt this, and then you're good to go. What else? So this is the other product I use, which is, you might recognize this for some of you that shave. This is a safety razor. So instead of disposable plastic safety razors, I believe the United States EPA, they estimate that 16 billion razors are disposed of every single year. So this is a completely waste-free option. What happens is that you can replace the blades with a metal aluminum blade, I believe, inside, or it might be stainless steel, but it's completely recyclable, and instead it lasts a lot longer, actually. So this razor will last a lifetime, and those blades are switched out every couple months. So I use that instead for shaving. And then from there, I think it's fitting to go to the kitchen probably. So I have a couple things I like to do. So when it comes to grocery shopping, I buy things in bulk. So you guys might have gone to a Sprouts or a Whole Foods and you guys see those big bulk bins. If it's allowed, I bring my own containers and I get them tiered. So what happens is, let's say I want brown sugar, I'll bring my mason jar, I'll fill it up, and I'll write down the product unit or the product ID as well as the weight of the container. So this one is 0.67 pounds. I've used it so many times to remember it. So that's what I'll do for some bulk foods. And then when I go to get some loose produce items, I use these reusable cotton produce bags, and these are great for like small loose items like apples or oranges or mushrooms. I like to use that. And then of course I like to bring a large grocery bag or multiple in order to put all my stuff in as well. So I think here's one other bag that I also like to use. So sometimes your grocery store might not have a tare system or might not be able to deduct the weight of your container when you're using these jars or these reusable containers. So I like to bring these instead, and I'll just fill it up, and these work best for very dry items like rice or beans, and I'll just bring this instead and then put it into my jar at home. I think one of the best things about buying in bulk is that when you store things in glass is one of the best packaging materials because it's non-permeable, it doesn't react with your food either, so there's no health concerns compared to, buying plastic. And I also, for example, if I want to buy bread, I'll bring this to the bakery. My friend gave this to me, but it's a bread bag, so I use that as well. So yeah, I think that's all my grocery stuff. But let's say I want to dine out and I want to eat something good. I also like to always bring this bag with me with a couple things inside. So the first thing, I'm not a huge fan of plastic cutlery, so I always bring around a pair of chopsticks and a spoon. For some reason, I think coming from a Chinese background, chopsticks are always really handy because it doubles as a knife. And then the spoon is just great for ice cream. So then that's usually why I bring around these two, and I can usually eat whatever I want with these pairs of utensils, and I always bring a reusable napkin as well and just put them in there. But if these are too heavy for you, there's also bamboo utensils out there. They're really lightweight and they're also a great option. And then when it comes to leftovers, I like to bring around this stainless steel tiffin. You guys might have seen this before too. I actually have my wrap in there that I just got over there that I'll save for lunch later. And I'll bring this to a restaurant, just put all my leftovers in here, and I'm good to go for another meal. And of course, for those of you that like boba or smoothies, this is my solution to that. You can buy stainless steel straws or glass straws, which are reusable. Plastic straws are having a really bad reputation right now due to ocean pollution. And you guys might have seen videos of turtles are getting plastic straws stuck in their noses, and it's just absolutely horrifying. So a lot of cities throughout the world are banning plastic straws because of the plastic pollution in our oceans. So this is an alternative, it's reusable, and I love using this when I go to Jamba Juice. I'll just get them to put it in my jar, and then I'm usually good to go there. And this is the thing that I use to wash and clean it as well. Okay, and then in regards to filtering my own water, at home I don't have a Brita filter, but I recommend you guys, instead of using a plastic water bottle, tap water is actually a lot more cost efficient, and it's also really safe for you to drink. So what I do instead of a Brita filter though is I use these. These are charcoal sticks, and what happens is that you can use these for 4 months and put them into any kind of drink vessel and allow it to filter out your water for a couple hours. So I use this instead of a plastic one, and it's completely compostable at end of life, or I just put it in my refrigerator to deodorize the smell as well. And then this is also a funny thing. I don't know if any of you guys know what this is, but it's a loofah. So what's really interesting is that what I learned in my home country of Taiwan, so my parents were born there, they love to use these for sponges, for also kind of scrubbing the body. So they just pretty much grow all these squashes and they let them completely dry with no moisture. They pluck out the seeds, and when you just cut these up, they're great for exfoliating the face, washing dishes. So I love using these, and it's funny, my friend's mom in LA made these, so she gave them to me. Okay, and then this is just another example. I love to make DIY products, so instead of buying something in a bottle such as an air freshener, I make my own. It's just distilled water, a couple of drops of lavender essential oil, and also some witch hazel, which helps to mix the oil and the water. So I like to use this instead as a natural alternative. And then, a couple last things regarding work. So for me, though I love Cisco and technology, I still am a pen and paper person. So I usually opt for a fountain pen to take all of my notes. This is a refillable, reusable option. It allows you to, you guys might have used this a long time ago, but you can refill the cartridge with ink and use that converter. And I really like it because it makes it feel fancy. And it's just a really nice tool to use. So that's one thing. And these other things are refillable whiteboard markers. I don't think Cisco will ever change these. They might be high maintenance, but I haven't had to refill them just yet. And I also use these to mark down the dates of when I bought these items from the grocery store, or also just the tear weight and whatnot. So these are also just a great option for like whiteboarding, or if you need them for any other uses. So I think that is it. And yeah, this is actually a recent gift that I got from my in-laws. They're from Korea. They make so many of these stainless steel containers, so I bring these as like a to-go option. So if I want to get a lot of bread or donuts or something, this is so great. I just bring it and I ask them to fill it with whatever I want to get. So that's pretty much what I do from a day-to-day basis. There's definitely more to just this, but this is the start. So I just wanted to put in a shameless plug. If you guys are really interested in helping out with this whole environmental awareness and sustainability initiative, join the Cisco Green Team. It's a great way to get involved, to learn, and to also be able to make an impact on something that affects every single one of us here. A lot of people don't think that sustainability is important because it's so big, and our world is big, right? But every single person here has the potential to make some sort of impact. And I always get people asking me, hey, Christine, does it really matter if I make the switch or try to live zero waste? And I tell them, do you think it matters that I'm living zero waste? Because I think it does. So you'll really see that when you just start to make those small changes in your life, you'll start to impact the other people around you. And I think it's definitely changed my life for the better as well. So really encourage you guys to join the Cisco Green Team and learn more about what you can do tangibly at work to also change our world. So with that, does anyone have any questions?
Yes. Can we give the link for all your small bags and all?
Yeah, so
I mean, I try as much to be as green as possible, but sometimes you just can't avoid. Like, you know, I used to go to the store and I'll buy a packet of spinach, and that will come in a plastic container. So then I realized, no, I'm kind of, you know, putting that into the environment every week because I buy a big bag of spinach. And I can't just stop eating spinach because I don't want to produce that. So I used to, now then I got bunches of spinach, and that's how I reduced that. But those bags and all, that's like, you know, I stopped taking plastic bags. But sometimes people said, like, why is she carrying her food in her hand? But your ideas are a little, you know, more fancier and better. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Great talk.
Oh,
I really appreciate what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I try to contribute myself. You know, I carry reusable bags to the grocery stores. I got the mesh bags for my produce.
Okay.
In fact, I moved to a new apartment. We tried to buy as much as used furniture as we could, and you know, try to do something to, you know, reduce my impact in the environment. My question to you is, what did you do with all the stuff that you did have, like the plastic stuff, as you moved on to your minimalistic lifestyle? So
Yeah.
then you are still contributing, right? Because I still have a lot of plastic stuff, I would say, that I'm still using because I don't know what to do. So it's better that I
Right.
use them, right?
Right, I totally agree. So at least for me, I started this lifestyle right after college, so I didn't have a lot of stuff to begin with, so that made it really easy. But if you do have belongings or products at home that you don't want to throw away, or you could actually still use them, or find someone else that will use it. Because I think a lot of people, they come across the idea that they have to throw away everything in their house and do a huge deep clean. But that's not the case, because when you are demanding new products, that's going to be a lot more materials and energy and emissions to just transport and manufacture as well. So use what you have to the end of life, make the most of it, and then move on to buying something new, and really rethinking those sustainable options.
It was really nice. Thank you so much. I had one thing to share. Like, is this the knowledge which you gave us? Is it also kind of actively happening around?
It is.
Because I think school is the best place to start with. I see. I mean, my kid just started going to school, and she's 2.5 years. And she has started using the napkins, and after just using it once, she says, give me another one. I'm trying to avoid her, but I think she starts learning it from school, and it's also important to educate them at that point. So do you think there are some organizations which are actually doing this?
I know that for myself, I love going to schools to speak. I've done so a couple times in the past. So if you guys have kids and want me to speak to their classes or
Awesome.
have those connections, hit me up. I love doing that. I don't know of any organizations, at least within San Jose. There's no one in the government that's actively going to speak about these things. They offer tours at the different waste facilities if the kids want to go and see them. But that's usually up to the teacher who's creating the curriculum for that month or something. Yeah.
So apart from Whole Foods or Sprouts, what are the stores you go to? Because I go to Costco and Walmart, and they all have these packages and stuff which I have to go anyway.
Yeah, I usually only go to the farmer's market when I can, because I think that also helps me to really develop a relationship between the farmer and my food. And buying local food is a really great option because of all the emissions that are contributing from all the transport of our food as well. It's fresher, it's better for you, and you're also supporting a local business, which I think is really important. So that's usually all I go to shop at, and then I still buy a couple things from Amazon here and there, or also Etsy is a really good option. They also support small local business owners. So I always try to type in, hey, can I get this thing without any plastic packaging? So I usually try to avoid that.
How long did it take for you to to make the change, the
Yeah.
complete transition to what you are now?
It took me about 6 months because I was really, really excited to make the switch and really want to make an impact or just really live out my values. So it took me about 6 months to get started.
How do you do this economically? Like, I mean, you go to Whole Foods, like, the same food sometimes a lot more expensive than Walmart. Like, how would you do this? Like, how do you live this way? Like, economically, how can you do it?
Right, so I think a lot of people ask, is zero waste a more expensive lifestyle? And I think it depends on your previous purchasing habits, because now that I'm living a more minimalist lifestyle, I'm focusing on putting my money towards things that really matter, like things I'm going to input into my body. So body care products and food, I buy higher quality, so it might be more expensive, but I'm buying less like clothing, less new gadgets and furniture, so it's pretty much evened out for me. Yeah.
Also, these DIY tips are very useful. You know, the speech you are trying to explain to us, but if there is a resource or something which you can
Right.
follow,
So,
it would be really good.
another shameless plug. So my blog name is called Snapshots of Simplicity. I'm most active on Instagram if that's your guys' thing, but I'm doing my best to also get things on my website and also through YouTube. I love making videos. But another thing that's happening later in this year is that I am out to publish a book. So stay tuned for that on how to make your home a more sustainable place. But my CEC ID is Creelu3. So if you guys want to contact me with any questions or if you want me to speak at your kids' school, definitely do that. And the Cisco Green Team Network is another great place to find me. So I'll just leave that on there.
So be sure to go to that blog. I spent about an hour on it, reading back when you told me about it, and I found out about great fashion hints that I don't use. But anyways, let's give a big hand to Christine. And I think we have gifts for the speakers. Everybody.